When your Social Security arrives by direct deposit, it feels safe. It feels like your money sitting in your own account with no one else having a say. But there are three quiet rules that decide how safe it really is once it lands. One of them lets the government take a slice for an old debt. One of them forces your bank to protect you, but only if one thing was done right. And one of them is a scam that can empty the account before you even notice. Let me take them one at a time in plain language so that no one ever catches you off guard. None of these three is meant to scare you. Each one comes with a simple way to protect yourself. And by the end, you will have all three in your pocket. So stay with me because the last one can happen the fastest, and it is also the easiest of all to stop. Let me start with the first rule, the one that surprises people the most, because they always believe this money was untouchable. If you owe an old debt to a government agency, and I do not mean your yearly taxes, I mean something like a student loan from decades ago or a benefit that was once overpaid to you, the government is allowed to reach in and take a portion of your monthly Social Security to pay it back. They do it quietly through a system built for exactly this purpose. Your payment simply comes in smaller one month, and many people do not even understand why. Think of a man in his 70s who took out a small student loan 40 years ago, back when his own children were still small, and always assumed it had faded away with time. It had not. One month, his benefit arrives lighter than usual, and after days of worry and phone calls, he finally learns the truth. That old loan was never truly closed, and now a piece of every payment is being taken to settle it. Nobody ever gave him a clear warning he could understand. That is the part that is wrong. And that is exactly why I am telling you now. So it is never a mystery to you. But here is the part the government must follow and the part you need to hold on to. The law says they cannot leave you with nothing. They must leave you at least the first $750 of your monthly benefit every single month, no matter what that old debt is, and they can never take more than a small share of the rest. So if your whole benefit is under $750, they cannot touch a penny of it. Above that line, they can only take a slice, not the whole thing. Now, here is the quiet cruelty of it, and the reason this matters a little more every year. That $750 floor was set back in the 1990s, and it has never once been raised. Not for inflation, not for the rising cost of everything you buy. While your rent and your groceries and your medicine have all climbed for almost 30 years, that protected amount has stood frozen in place, which means the shield the law hands you covers a little less of your money with each year that goes by. So if you ever get a letter saying an old government debt will be collected from your benefit, do not panic and do not throw it in a drawer. You have the right to ask for a review. You have the right to prove hardship if paying would leave you unable to live. And you have the right to set up a smaller, gentler arrangement instead. The worst thing you can do is nothing. That letter is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a conversation you are fully allowed to have. The second rule is the one I most want you to remember because it is the rare one that works in your favor and almost no one knows it is even there. This time, the taker is not the government. It is a private debt collector. Say an old credit card or a medical bill or some debt from years back ends up in the hands of a collector and they win the right to freeze money in your bank account. You would think your Social Security sitting in that account is fair game for them. It is not. There is a federal rule that forces your bank to step in and protect you all on its own before you even ask. When a collector comes after your account, your bank is required to look back over the last 2 months, add up every dollar of Social Security that was sent to you in that time, and set that whole amount aside as untouchable. The collector cannot freeze it, and you keep full and normal use of it. 2 whole months of your benefit shielded automatically simply because the law says so. Picture a woman who fell behind on a hospital bill during one very hard year, and a collector eventually won an order against her account. She was terrified they would empty it and leave her with nothing for the rent. But because her Social Security came in by direct deposit, her bank had already set 2 months of it safely aside, untouched, before she ever walked through the door. The collector could not reach it. She kept the money she needed to live on. And she never even knew that shield existed until the day it quietly saved her. But here is the one thing that decides whether you get that shield or not. And it is the whole reason we are talking about direct deposit today. That protection only switches on if your benefit arrived electronically, sent straight into your account. If you are someone who still gets a paper check and you carry it to the bank and deposit it by hand, the bank has no simple way to see that the money is Social Security, and that automatic shield never turns on. The very same dollars lose their protection only because of how they arrived. So the plain lesson is this: having your benefit come by direct deposit is not just easier. It quietly wraps your money in a legal protection that a paper check can never give you. The third rule is really a warning, because the fastest way to lose your Social Security is not the government and not a collector. It is a thief. And the way they do it now is chillingly simple. Somewhere out there, pieces of your personal information are floating around from old data leaks you never even heard about. A thief gathers enough of it, contacts the office that sends out your benefit, pretends to be you, and quietly changes one single thing: the account your money is set to land in. The next payment, the one you were counting on, sails right past you and into their hands. And the first time many people learn of it is when the money simply does not arrive. Now, do not let that frighten you, because the fix is every bit as simple as the crime, and it is completely in your own hands. You can set up your own protected account with Social Security online, and once you have claimed it as yours, no stranger can walk in and pretend to be you, because the door is already locked from the inside. You can also ask that no change to where your payment goes can ever be made without an extra step that only you are able to complete. And every month, in those first few days when your benefit is due, simply glance and make sure it landed. A thief is counting on you not to look. The very moment you become the kind of person who checks, you turn into a hard target, and they move along to an easier one. Before you go, hold on to the one thread that ties all three of these together. Money that arrives by direct deposit is protected in ways that cash and paper checks simply are not. The plain act of having your benefits sent straight into your account is itself one of the strongest shields you have. So make sure that is how yours arrives. Keep an eye on it in the first days of each month, and never share the private details that would let someone move it. If you know an older person who still gets a paper check, or who has never heard a word of any of this, share it with them, because this is the kind of quiet knowledge that protects a person long before they ever need it.